Welcome back to the Star Trek Critic, where we use a lot of still photos to prevent copyright claims and grade each episode like a school project, starting with 100 points and taking 1 point away for each error, like plot holes, set errors, and whether or not this show withstands the test of time. Today's episode is Spectre of the Gun, a space western or wagon train to the stars. The Enterprise encounters a Melkoshian probe on the way to make contact with them. Here is a good shot of Spock turning the knob on his scanner. Is it now sexist referring to Enterprise as she? Are those the ship's preferred pronouns? Kirk says he is not a Scientologist.
Aliens.
I heard this in English. Is this the first time they've run into a telepathic probe? The Melkoshians are saying, "You are trespassing. We don't want visitors. Please go home." Does this sound like somebody familiar?
Thou art notified that thy kind have infiltrated the galaxy too far already. Thou art directed to return to thine own solar system immediately.
Kirk's orders are very clear. To make contact with the Melkoshians. They never really say why, but the Federation really wants to be friends for some reason. Kirk ignores the warning and plows right ahead, so minus 1 point for not waiting there for the Melkoshians to send an emissary. Minus 1 more point for beaming down to a random spot on a planet where they aren't welcome. Minus 1 more point for the captain and first officer beaming down together like they're not supposed to. Minus 1 more point for not bringing down security guards. It is a fine. They are in jail. Here is more product placement for Crayola t-shirts. The Melkoshians are made out of paper mache and fog, a lot like this guy here. They are to be punished. This sounds familiar.
To be punished.
The Melkoshian says they don't have a vaccine passport and they have a disease and need to be quarantined. The next point is lost because the characters have switched positions. Ironically, the tight budget that prevented on-site filming and elaborate indoor sets gave this episode a unique charm, and shows that the Melkoshians could only pick bits and pieces from Kirk's mind. So, every old western town is circa 1880, so Spock is not the genius he claims to be this time. Why is there a light shining on Spock? The next point is lost for Kirk and crew not clearing their guns and making sure they have bullets in them. Gun safety is the first thing to do. McCoy will say something like this later on in life.
Life is but a dream.
I don't think bulletin boards like this were around in those days, but the Melkoshians are making all of this up. This is why they are here, because it was so violent in old western Iowa. Here comes the sheriff, and they quickly learn that they're going to be a part of the shootout at the OK Corral. In reality, there are several discrepancies on who lived and died during the shootout, even what time it took place, but this recreation isn't perfect. And unless one of the 5 is an actual expert on the shootout history, they can be wrong too. History cannot be changed. However, this is just a recreation. Watch closely. His hat falls off once. And twice, so minus 1 point. Chekhov gets the girl. Yes! Wyatt Earp looks so terrifying. Both Kirk and Spock have to let out some really good farts. Scotty is a wee bit thirsty. He's really just trying to make trouble with the Clantons. Once the drinks are served, Chekhov gets the girl again while the other suggests he finds a hotel. Why didn't Sulu ever get a girl? Just because George Takei isn't interested in girls doesn't mean the character isn't allowed to get some on-screen romance. Even in the 1960s, they promoted using protection. Kirk tries his comedy skills with the bartender. It isn't working at all, is it? Nope, not at all. This is a mistake here. Not once do they try to talk to the characters of Tombstone about the Melkoshians, so minus 1 more point. It was really a stupid idea to go in here alone and try and talk things out. Now he learns the hard way how alcohol is used for medicinal purposes. Is it now offensive to refer to a drink as straight? I don't think Chekhov really knows how a gun works, does he? In many ways, the city of Tombstone is a lot like the holodecks of the Next Generation and beyond. This is a random question, and Chekhov of course says they should be looking for us. Spock loses a point for using miles, since they are not really in 1880. Kirk decides to beat them at their own game and says the guns aren't the way and they should come up with something different. Chekhov makes a racist comment about the pioneers of the Old West. Dr. McCoy says drugs will be the trick. It sounds like he wants to build something you can throw, not what they came up with. He's going to make an old-fashioned gas grenade. They know this place is deadly and claim they know who was in the gunfight, but McCoy still goes in the dentist office alone, so minus 1 more point. Sylvia can't wait for the dance. She even bought scrumptious material to make a dress with. It could even make a good wedding dress. Why does Chekhov get nervous about this? He knows this is all a fantasy. Sylvia likes wild men who wrestle cattle and steal horses. Wyatt Earp uses this chance to be a horse's ass. Look closely. The package that Chekhov bought in the store moves, so minus 1 more point. Walter Koenig now gets his chance to overact, just like William Shatner. Sylvia is visibly upset, but also secretly thinking that if they were already married, she could collect the life insurance. McCoy doesn't say he's dead Jim, does he? Now it's time for the standoff, a field of hats, and the McCoys. Spock can't bear to look at Chekhov and says, "Our time is next." McCoy sings his favorite song from the movie Frozen, "Let it go, Jim, he's dead." Now Kirk sings along. Kirk is feeling guilty right now, and McCoy says, "We all signed up, you knew it could happen." And then they get after Spock for not having feelings. They never say what they did with Chekhov's body, so minus 1 point. Spock makes the discovery that history can change here. Kirk wants to end this peacefully so they don't have to fight and die. Did you notice that Sheriff is also in the same font as Star Trek?
You looking for somebody?
The Sheriff proves he has no help at all. And why does this town have a sheriff and a marshal? This is a scary phrase because Kirk doesn't know what the term woke means. The sheriff teaches Kirk how to bushwhack. Kirk is pretty upset, but he has killed in self-defense before. Can you believe this? Spock actually compliments Dr. McCoy. Again, Scotty gets the best lines, but they should have noticed within seconds it didn't work, but they didn't, so minus 1 point. Of course, this means the rules of the real world don't apply at all here. Kirk says, "We aren't going anywhere," but I got some bad news for him. Now they are screwed. Obviously, they don't know how to say computer exit. Spock has a plan. With a Vulcan mind meld, he can hypnotize them into not believing the bullets are real. Kids, do not try this at home. It's 5 o'clock. Time for The Walking Dead. Of course, the Red Hour 2 years ago was much more fun. Will they make it in time?
The suspense is terrible. He's gonna go this time. I hope it'll last.
The zombie walkers also switch positions, so minus 1 more point. Spock is telling McCoy that zombies do not exist. Spock is telling Kirk it's okay to sleep at night with the light out. Here they come in different positions. Now for the showdown. Look closely, Spock notices that Kirk reached first. Has anyone ever counted the shots? If 3 of them have 2 6-guns each, and the shotgun fired 4 times, there would be 40 shots fired. And Wyatt Earp is a terrible shot, he just fires at the ground. Now comes the big fight, but Wyatt Earp is no match for Kirk's fake movie punches. Wyatt Earp is on the ground, and Kirk makes really evil screenshots. But Kirk shows him mercy just like he did the Gorn, because it worked that time too. The bad guys disappear and they magically go back to the bridge with no explanation of how that happened. And McCoy should be in sickbay with Chekhov, so minus 1 more point. Chekhov only remembers the girl. The Melkoshian probe explodes. The Melkoshian shows up and says, "Hey, you didn't kill." Kirk says they want to be friends, and the Melkoshian says, "Please approach the planet." However, at the beginning of the episode, they did approach the planet and beam down, so minus 1 point for continuity. Now Kirk tells Chekhov to head to the planet at warp 2. They're already very close, so at 8 times the speed of light, they would be leaving the planet instead, so minus 1 more point. Now Spock remembers Kirk reaching for his gun and asks about it. Kirk says, "If Han shot first, so can I." This whole conversation leads to a speech that humanity overcame its violent past, even though gunfights in the Old West didn't happen nearly as much as in TV. And the show ends on a happy note. So, who are the Melkoshians? Abraham Sofauer was born in Rangoon, Burma, and was the voice of the Melkoshian and one of the Thasians on Charlie X. He has 140 screen credits to his name, including I Dream of Jeannie and Lost in Space. Ed McGreedy was the barber with 90 film credits, including Mission Impossible and Gunsmoke. This is his 5th and final appearance on Star Trek. Bill Zuckert played Johnny Behan and has 230 screen credits to his name. Seriously, he has been on everything, including the short-lived Future Cop. Charles Seal played Ed, with 150 screen credits, including Wagon Train, Bonanza, The Virginian, and Gunsmoke. Sam Gilman played Doc Holliday and 80 other characters, mostly in westerns. He served in France in World War II. Rex Holman played Morgan Earp. He has 100 mostly western screen credits, and we'll see him one more time on Star Trek V. Charles Maxwell played Virgil Earp, with 80 also mostly western screen credits, including the radio announcer on Gilligan's Island and My Favorite Martian. Ron Sobel was Wyatt Earp, with 90 screen credits, including the $6 Million Man, Shazam, and Salvage 1. Bonnie Beecher played Sylvia, who had a short acting career. She even dated Bob Dylan and may have been the inspiration for his song Girl from North Country. She and her husband Wavy Gravy went to work at the Camp Winter Rainbow Circus Camp in Northern California. Spectre of the Gun, the low-budget episode that still fared well and aired one day before the 87th anniversary of the OK Corral gunfight, gets a score of 83%. Thanks for viewing. Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists. Click that like button, the share button, the subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.